Yeah, excited to kick off the season. It's obviously a exciting time for college football, and I know our team is ready to put this offseason behind us and get started on this season and this challenge. It's going to be a difficult challenge, probably the most difficult opening game that we've faced all since I've been here. They have a whole new staff, around 60 new players that they've acquired, whether high school or through the transfer portal. So it's a real challenge to have any idea of what they're going to do schematically, whether we're talking about offense, defense, or special teams. Coach Wright is an excellent football coach. He does an outstanding job. He's got experience at both SEC pro level, and has been tremendous at all the different places and stops that he's had before. He's got a lot of different types of coaches on his staff, and so we're trying to pull film from a lot of different places to get an idea of what they're going to do. So we've spent a couple extra days preparing and giving our guys as much information as we possibly can. But it's going to, trying to figure out what the scheme is combined with not knowing the personnel. It's going to be a real difficult challenge for our team and our staff. And so we're going to have to really focus on us and our execution and make sure that we're ready to play, make sure that we have the most excitement, make sure that we're focused on tackling and taking care of the football, make sure that we win situational football, and execution is going to come down to a premium. So that's really the challenge that we have for us, and look forward to seeing everybody Thursday night. So with that, I'll open it up for questions.
You kind of manage there's a lot of excitement, enthusiasm, balancing it with focus. What's kind of the optimal balance you want your guys to achieve?
I think everybody wants to be excited to play. You want those guys to have great energy on game day and be, opportunity. You only get 12 guaranteed opportunities, and for the seniors, you only get 7 at home. So you want them to be really excited, but you want to focus on a this play mentality and make sure that you're executing every play to the very best of your abilities. And, don't wish it's the fourth quarter, don't wish it's the third quarter, just focus on right now.
Coaches always say that, first game, you're never sure what to expect.
Yeah.
A little crazier than some of the following weeks. Is there any specific part of the game that consistently you see week one is, not just with your team, just in general, kind of a concern going in?
Yeah, I think if you watched college football yesterday, you saw some tackling issues. Obviously, last night in the game, the special teams issues certainly showed up and caused situations. 3 of the 4 games that I saw came down to last 2-minute drives. So it's trying to be prepared for all of those options. And I think as coaches, we have to do a great job of making sure that we leave no stone unturned, knowing that at any moment you're going to have to be thinking about a play call or be able to manage this situation, knowing who's in the game and if this guy's injured, who's next up. So, I think obviously penalties and special team situations and turnovers and tackling are usually the things that show up the most. And that's typical from any extended delay in playing the game.
Coach, when you look at Murray State on film, where's that stick out to you on the other side of the ball?
Yeah, that's the challenge. There's really no way to watch Murray State film because, they've got brand new offense, defense, and special teams coordinators. They got 60 new players. So, you can watch their schemes from last year to try to see what their players are, but they're not going to be running the exact same stuff. So trying to figure out what your matchups are is almost impossible. So, again, it comes down to us executing our plan, our schemes at a really high level, and playing with great effort.
Is the way you plan to evaluate what happens on Thursday different this year from last year, given that last year you were giving 2 different quarterbacks each a half of football to work with?
Yeah, it's a whole different situation as far as the evaluation goes. We just want to see how we compare, how we compete and compare to another team. Ultimately this is the measuring stick. We've said it before. You practice to get better. You don't play the games to get better. You play the games to decide if you're going to win or lose. So we'll see where we're at after we play this game. Obviously we want to see a downhill run attack. We want to see an explosive offense. We want to see an offense that creates pressure through tempo. We want to see an offense that executes in situational football. Defensively, we want to see a group that stops the run, is multiple on third downs, and wins situational football, is really good at tackling and taking the ball away. Special teams, we want to do a great job covering kicks. And then we want to be really good in the kicking phase. So, all those things are what ideally we picture it, and we'll see where we're at come Thursday night.
That offense having success last year, bringing a lot of guys back, are there any, you just outlined a few, but any other areas that you challenge them to grow and evolve going into this year?
Well, again, I thought we did an excellent job of not turning the ball over last year, so that's an emphasis on us to continue to value the football. We need to be better in the red zone, and we can improve on third downs. Those are two areas situationally that we want to improve on, and it starts Thursday night.
Coach, when you look at a running back room, is there a split you like to have between backs? Do you like having, one running back kind of emerge out of that room? And how do you anticipate kind of the split working between that group this year?
Yeah, I think we have a plan on how we want to approach it. Nate Noel will go out there first, and then, him and Marcus will rotate through. I think those guys have good complementary football skills, and they know how to play off of each other. I think we understand we're probably not going to have somebody that's going to be able to carry it as many times in a game as Cody. So we'll have to do a good job of making sure we allow the starter to get into rhythm, but also make sure they're fresh.
Other than Darius Smith, who obviously we know about, do you have everybody at this point healthy and available?
We've got two guys that are still battling their way back, and I think both of them today would be questionable. That's Jamarian Wayne and Jordan Harris. There it is. And Jordan, he's been in a green jersey for the better part of 5 days, but just haven't felt like he's 100% yet. So I'd be very careful before I put him in harm's way. So, we'll know more probably by the radio show. So maybe if you can get Mike to ask me that question, I'll answer it for you on Thursday night.
How about, Brett Murphy battled through some stuff? How's he looking?
Full go. Yeah, he's been really good. Hadn't missed a beat.
Eli, exiting out of fall camp here, how do you feel like your team, in terms of how football ready they are now compared to maybe in years past heading into the first game?
It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell until you play. I think the first part of the season is about eliminating bad football. It's about seeing the issues on tape and figuring out how to win football games, and then slowly get those issues off tape, and then figuring out the identity of your team and playing to those strengths. And until you play in games, you're not always going to know. I think we're battle ready. We've tackled live more than we ever have in any camp. We've got more practice reps this camp than we've had the previous 3 seasons. We've put in more situational football time than we have in any previous 3 seasons. But, now it's about, 11 guys putting it together against an opponent who's got a say in the outcome too. And so that's going to be a challenge, and I don't really have any preconceived notions on what it's going to look like until we do it.
Defensive tackle, what does Chris McClellan do to separate himself there during the starting slot?
Yeah, I think Christian and even Marquise right there. I think there's an or, but those 3 guys have been really good, consistent. Really proud of the way Chris and Marquise have competed and battled, and I think both of them did a tremendous job this summer of managing their weight and getting it down to what we want it to be. And then, we challenge those guys to really run to the football, be disruptors, push the paint in pass, in pass defense, and those guys have consistently done it.
Eli, I know you're focused on just this week and not necessarily any opponents in the future, but is there any effort to, in these first few weeks, to guard your playbook a little bit, not only to protect anything from future opponents, but also just kind of be slow with easing your guys into their understanding of the scheme?
No, we're trying to win week 1. The most important game that we have on our schedule is this one, period. So there's no guarding, there's no hiding. We just want to win. And, you know, in order to win, you got to call what you know your guys can execute and what you guys have had consistent reps at. So that doesn't mean that your playbook's going to be wide open. It means that you're going to call what you have repped in the 25 previous practices that you feel comfortable in key situations your guys can execute. So I don't think our playbook will be limited. There won't be anything we won't call. It's just we won't call it because we won't have confidence that we could execute it at a high level.
Is there a game that you can, I guess, date back to in your tenure or just in your coaching career in general where you say, yeah, this is a whole new coaching staff, like kind of how you're doing right now, even a little bit?
Well, it's not just the coaching staff. It's the combination of coaching staff and new players. You know, this is a new era in college football. You know, you could have a replacement of coaches before, but you could have been able to go back and look at previous tape and say, okay, well, they're returning this guy, and this guy. I mean, their starting quarterback played at Dakota School of the Mines. He was a finalist for the Harlan Hill Award. I mean, we're watching huddle tape in order to figure out what he's done on the internet. Like, it's a unique challenge. So, you know, they've got several players who've transferred in and at key positions that we're trying to figure out. You know, we can go back and watch their tape last year at their previous schools, but we don't know what that means they're going to be doing in this scheme. So it's kind of a challenge. I mean, their offensive coordinator hasn't. The last time he called plays was Jacksonville State 2 years ago. He was a high school coach the past 2 years, where he was the tight ends coach, wasn't the play caller. So we're going back and watching Jacksonville State tape. We're looking at, you know, what coach has done at South Carolina when he was the tight ends coach, and trying to guess what they're going to do.
How much, I guess, extra work hours? I know you said you guys did a couple of days extra work, but how much longer does that make your days compared to a normal game when you kind of have that stuff?
I mean, it certainly adds up, but it takes what it takes to win. So I don't think anybody's been counting the hours.
Coach, last year you guys embraced the motto, something to prove. Does that still stand for this year going strong? Is there a new motto around the locker room?
No, it's STP. Yeah, we still got a lot to prove.
Eli, in the return game, you've got Marquise and Luther listed first. Do you
Punt return.
expect to give multiple guys kind of a look, kickoff and punt, both? Do you expect to look at multiple guys, or are those kind of set?
Yeah, no, I think obviously Luther's listed as the number one punt returner. Theo Weiss could absolutely go back there. Marquise and Daniel Blood have also been very good at it. So I think, you know, just depending on where the game is, who's fresh, I think any one of those four could be back there at punt return. Kickoff return, you know, Josh Manning's been getting quite a few looks. Mookie Cooper's been getting some looks. So, again, just depending on where the game is and how it's going, I think you could see multiple people.
Anything else for Coach?
Wow, there you go. It's quick, 13 minutes.